Hi guys, welcome to episode 4 of The Liberal Conservative. I'm your host, Judy. This is season 2, and I'm very excited about what we're doing this season. We are really diving deep into the future of everything and what it looks like and how we can change it. And today's episode is called Who Owns the Future of Law? So the future of law is not about courtrooms and gavels. It's about algorithms, borders, and survival. It's about whether justice remains a privilege of the powerful or becomes a tool for the people. And that's kind of an oxymoron, right? Because justice has always been a tool for the powerful and a privilege for them as well. And we, the rest of us have had to, yield it accordingly, and not always successfully. So we're living through the collapse of old systems. That's what's going on right now. That's why everything seems so dire. It's really the collapse of climate, the collapse of patriarchy, the collapse of war. There's only so much more that can happen that we can take under this patriarchal rule before an entire collapse of humanity. Climate change is displacing millions and going to displace hundreds of millions. AI is replacing the grunt work of entire professions, and many times it's going to erase entire professions. Universities are pipelines into the future, but the U.S. government, here in the United States specifically, is flirting with dissolving the Department of Education, which is going to cut off the access that minorities, women, and low-income students fought to gain. So the question of the episode is, who owns the future of law? The billionaires funding AI platforms? The governments drawing maps around climate refugees? Or us, the people who know justice can't survive if it's gate-kept? This episode is about power, access, and the legal battlefield of tomorrow. Law was once a guild, generational. A few controlled the language of contracts and courts, and the rest of us hoped for fairness. But AI is breaking that gate. Already, machine learning can review contracts, draft briefs, and mine case law faster than armies of junior associates. Firms admit it. Within 5 years, AI will transform legal work. The jobs left won't be about memorizing doctrine. They'll be about strategy, ethics, and sovereignty. Lawyers of the future will fight over algorithms, cross-border disputes, and climate migration. But let's be clear, disruption doesn't guarantee justice. It can deepen inequity. If billionaires own the platforms and governments weaponize migration law, then access to justice becomes another hollow slogan. Which parts of the legal profession will AI completely replace? Well, definitely it's going to automate anything that has to do with contract reading, even contract building, right? Do we see AI expanding access to justice or just making elite firms more efficient? It can go either way. What new practice areas are opening up? AI liability, algorithmic bias, cross-border disputes, all of those things. Climate change, migration, ethical law, disparities, all of those things are going to be part of the law profession in the future. Here's the kicker though. While the profession is changing, access to it is being sabotaged as well. There are politicians today openly calling to dissolve the Department of Education. Why does that matter? Because the Department of Education guarantees Pell Grants, federal loans, and accreditation pathways that open doors for women, minorities, and first-generation students. Remove it, and law schools become a luxury hobby for the elite. Think about it. Women right now earn nearly 60% of the U.S. bachelor's degrees. Hispanic enrollment is surging. Minority graduates are the future of higher education. And yet, right as the demographic shifts towards equity, the system threatens to slam the door shut. This is by design, of course. What happens to diversity in law schools if federal student aid disappears? You have to connect the dots here. Do you see law as a pathway for women and minorities to lead in this century? That door is being purposely shut. How should legal education evolve to prepare for climate migration, AI, and borderless disputes? I don't even think that we have curriculum surrounding these very important factors that are going to affect us very, very soon, are already affecting us right now. Let's ground this in reality. By 2050, I've said this in the last episode, the World Bank estimates that 216 million climate migrants will be displaced. Entire nations, like I discussed in the last episode, are negotiating relocation for their citizens as we speak. The law of the future isn't just contracts. It's who has a right to move and who has a right to stay and who will be forced to stay and who can have the luxury of moving freely. Imagine the cases to come, families suing governments for failing to protect their land, nations arguing over responsibility for refugees displaced by emissions they didn't cause, cities drafting laws to integrate migrants or exclude them. This is where the matriarchy must lead, because the patriarchal model, domination, militarization, exclusion, is already burning the world down. We either evolve law into stewardship or we don't survive. So who owns the future of law? If we leave it to the billionaires and the patriarchs, it will be theirs, optimized for profit, secured by borders, and weaponized against the vulnerable. But if women, minorities, and the people most affected by these crises seize the field, if we demand curricula that teach AI, climate migration, and sovereignty, then law becomes a tool of survival, not control. We can evolve and we can build a legal system that belongs to us all, not to power. That is the matriarchal answer of who will own the law in the future. But we have to write it. It doesn't currently exist. It is currently being oppressed. Already hear platforms like Harvey AI, Case Text, Do Not Pay, handle research contract review even in courtroom scripts. Deloitte projects that 100,000 plus legal roles may vanish globally by 2030. That's just 5 years from now. It's mostly paralegal and junior work, but it's still a big portion of our society that will not have access to these jobs anymore and never again. Now, the good news is that new niches will emerge. AI liability, bias litigation, AI ethics boards, and cross-border data disputes. This is not really about losing jobs. It's about redrawing power. Do lawyers become watchdogs or sales reps for AI billionaires? That is the key distinction that we have to look at. As I stated before, 260 million people are projected to migrate due to climate change. That is going to open the field for international treaties currently needing to write and have conventions around climate refugees. Lawyers will write the rules for who deserves safety. Listen to that. Who deserves safety? We all do. But if we leave this in the hands of the people that are currently running the world, that is exactly how the language is going to be written. There are going to be some humans that deserve it, and there are going to be some humans that don't, because that is the way that they've always led. When women and minorities finally become the majority in higher education, which we have, the patriarchy pulls the rug out. Access isn't an accident. It's the first battlefield. I just want you to know some stats. Women are graduating at so much higher rates than men. 59% of all bachelor's degrees are held by women. Black women are the fastest growing share of master's and professional degrees. Hispanic students are the fastest growing undergrad demographic in 2022. They earned 15% of all bachelor's degrees, up from 9% in 2009. The pipeline is changing. Women, Latinas, Black students, they are the future of law. They are the future of education. They are the future, period. That's why access is being sabotaged. Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, and other tech magnates are pouring money into AI platforms. Legal AI is included. Private arbitration systems already exist in blockchain DAOs and corporate-controlled courts. Do we want a future where law is decided in billionaire-owned shadow courts, or do we want to demand sovereignty over the rules that get to rule over us? The matriarchal alternative is that patriarchy frames law as punishment, control, and extraction. A matriarchal model frames law as stewardship, adaptation, and survival. Examples today: Indigenous women-led land defense movements, legal activism rooted in care. Women mayors leading climate resilience in cities like Freetown, Sierra Leone, Mayor Yvonne Akisoyer. The question isn't if women are capable of leading law, if it's will get the chance before the patriarchs burn it all down. So the future of law is not a courtroom drama. It's an algorithm deciding who gets bail. It's a flood displacing millions with no treaty to protect them. It's a billionaire designing shadow courts in Silicon Valley. So we discussed diving into the disruption of AI, the exodus of climate migration, the sabotage of higher education access, the matriarchal alternative, because patriarchy has failed again and again and again, and the legal system is its weapon. The question is whether we let it burn us down or we take it back. So basically, the future of law is not just about justice. It's about survival and whether we choose patriarchy or the matriarchy to lead us there.